preface what I'm about to say with a statement, because I know it's going to color people's opinions about me and how this comes across. So I need to state this, that I am in favor of the data center at this point in time. I believe if we do our due diligence and have the right protections in place, noise ordinances, environmental protections, that it will be, the benefit will outweigh the costs. However, I think we have done a poor job of presenting this to the community, and I think that's probably part of why we're running into roadblocks here almost at the finish line. So on the procedural redo, the first step that we've gone through to carry out the terms of this pre-annexation agreement has been the conditional zoning. So conditional zoning is used on a property before it is annexed. It is conditioned on if and when that property is annexed, it would be zoned that such use. And we don't have any record of this conditional zoning having happened prior to recently. So my first problem that I have, and I haven't got clarity on this yet, is are these properties already annexed or are they not? The Planning Commission says that the properties are not annexed. However, Mr. Cook, who was here previous meetings, says that the properties are annexed and that annexations are valid. But conditional zoning can only be done for properties that have not yet been annexed. So I think we need clarity there. The second problem, I think it is obvious. 4 of you on council were here when the annexations were through, and that was voted on and it was passed. So we did that annexation process without the conditional zoning and without public notice. So we skipped the whole public process. So last year, when people were angry that they felt they didn't have a venue to voice their opinions, it's because we skipped the public process. And this year, the people seem to be angry because they feel they just only learned about the data center. It's because we skipped the public process. So the city chose to bypass the voice of the people, and I haven't heard anybody yet own up to this mistake for the mistake that it is. Also, Mr. Cook has said that Planning Commission did meet last year about the zoning of these parcels, but I have not been able to find any public notice of these meetings or receive any minutes that resulted from these meetings. And then the last issue is the pre-annexation that says that the annexation must be passed as an emergency. Mr. Hatcher, I'd like your opinion on how a previous council can require this current council to take an action based on previous actions of previous councils, and what would be the ramifications if we did not follow that agreement. Hold on.
Okay.
We also passed several other zoning issues as emergencies last year. I was here for several of them. They came before council, and that very same night they were passed. And we find out this year now that these zoning changes all required a public meeting prior to coming to council, that those planning commission meetings were also bypassed, and that has to be redone. So time and again, we are cutting the public out of the process of annexing these parcels. So, and then part of my frustration through all of this is that when I voted to advance this issue to Planning Commission on March 9th, I did so with the assurance from several people in this room that this was a simple minor procedural issue. But as I've had to do my own investigation through this process, I find that I don't believe this is a minor issue at all. I believe, in fact, that we made a mistake, our city government made a mistake, and that potentially totally voids several actions that council took last year. I don't think that's a small issue. I think that's a major flaw in how our government operates. And I don't yet hear anyone acknowledging that this was a mistake or taking responsibility for it. So the only remedy that I see at this point is that instead of cutting the public out, we maximize the public process. Number one, as I've said before, we make data center a conditional use in its appropriate district. That all that means is that it has an additional public meeting before the Board of Zoning Appeals, and that we avoid all use of emergency powers unless legally mandated. And that's a question for Mr. Hatcher. So that is what I'd like to see from this council on this issue.
Did you address, did you start into Do you want me to respond to that right now?
if you want.
Okay. I can respond to first of all, the pre-annexation agreement was voted upon by council, okay? It was approved by council in 2014.
Yep.
So, and in reading that pre-annexation agreement, that bound future councils prospectively by contract, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So, I guess if you ask the question, can you vote outside of that, outside of what that contract binds you to? I guess you could, but you do that at the risk of being in breach of contract.
Right.
Which also puts you in the risk of being sued.
And sued not only by other jurisdictions around us, but also by potentially the developer.
Correct.
Or other.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So that is, I mean, and that's, and if you want to talk about the pre-annexation agreement versus what was done and going through the redo, they're not exactly the same thing. They cross each other at certain points. But the pre-annexation agreement was in place for the mega site long before, a data center was even conceived.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not quite the same thing. I mean, it's about the data center because that's a project that's potentially going there. But whether this would have been a automobile factory, you would have that same rule would apply. That would have that about it being passed as an emergency. So I guess that part is immaterial. It applied no matter what the project would be.
And that was my assumption on that issue.
Okay.
Stuck, and I think that's fine. We agreed to that. The city agreed to that
Mm-hmm.
many, many years ago.
Correct.
I don't think we should renege on that now.
Okay. Well, I hope that helped answer that question.
Yep. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for that discussion from council for Mr. Block?
That concludes my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Then we will move on in the agenda to properties and equipment. Mr. Egler?
He has a question.
You'll get a chance after the reports are over. Let's get through all council reports. Mr. Egler?
Thank you, Mr.